Hello guys, I hope you watched the first part of this revision to Python. Okay, so we did list till list in that session, right? So for this session we'll be going ahead with it. So next thing that comes after the list is the range, right? Range is a very important function, right? Normally when you're dealing with C or C++ type of languages, you need to specify loops to get these range, to get the elements, like to get a range of elements. But here it is very useful, like Python has provided very useful functionality, range, right? What does it do? It gives three inputs. It accepts three inputs, like the starting number. Range is used for defined for just integers right now. Okay, so when you're dealing with integers or you want a range of integers, you can use that. So it accepts a starting integer, ending integers, and the jump at which you want to jump at, right? So let's say I have defined range 0, 10, 1. So I expect that the starting integer would be 10, starting integer would be 0, the ending integer would be 10, till 10. So it means that the ending integers will not be given out, or will not be the output. It will be just till 10. So it would be like for if you're using a different language, it's for int I equal to 10, I equal to 0, I less than 10, and I plus plus. So defining this way corresponds to this way of the other language like C or C++. So I stored this the output of this range into a variable called ran, and I will just print that variable, and I'll see that it does not give me anything, right? It just gives me a range of this, right? So why does it give me a range of this? Because it's a you can say it's a variable for using, like it's an iterator, right? So I'll cover this in the loops when I'll do that, but it's just an iterator when you are getting that. So you need to understand that it will give you a range for sure. Now what happens is, if I add the same statement with the, let's say list, right? So I would expect that the behavior would remain same, right? So I would expect that the behavior would remain same, right? So I just put that into a list, and it does not give me anything. It just put range into a list, right? But if I do like this, this is a way to, like, one hand notation. I'll cover this ahead. You just need to see that when I'm doing this kind of things for I in range, so it will give me this, right? So when you need to store when you need a list which is having a range of numbers, you can use this kind of notation to have those numbers, right? In a one line statement, right? Range is basically a command which gives you a range of numbers, right? And that range can be easily used with for loops, right? I'll cover for loops ahead, like in the next 10 minutes, so that we will be able to understand it. Now, as I said, range accepts a starting number, end number, and the jump that you want to have, right? So starting number is 10, right? And the ending number is 0. So 0 will not be there, but it will have the 10 in it. As you can see, there is no 10 here. So as I wrote I less than 10, it's no 10 is present, right? So similarly here 0 will not be there, but every element from 10, 9, 8, 7, such elements will be there, because I have used a minus 1. If I had used minus 2, let's say, so what would have happened is 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, such numbers would have obtained, right? So this will be, so this would be the result. Now range, as you can see, nothing is getting printed, but that doesn't mean that there is nothing present. Just that range is a class, and it's just like outputting a class of the class of that object, right? So when I'm defining this, so this range being printed is basically the class of it, and this is basically an object parameter. So don't delve much deeper into this, but I'll tell you how it happens, right? Now if you're dealing with floats, right? Dealing with floats have a very different kind of arrangement, right? Range cannot be used with floats, so you have to use numpy.arange, right? This is a very different library. This is a very different library, but the use of it is very similar. Like, you define the starting number, ending number, and the step you want to have. Let's say I wanted to have 0, and the ending number is 1, but it will not have 1, and the step will be 0.1. So it's just that, right? You can also use this with the integer number. I would not say no problem with that, but at many times, right, you don't have the privilege of importing numpy. Like with our project in mind, we will always be having NumPy with us. But in many other projects, let's say scraping projects or server projects, you don't have this liberty of using NumPy. So for that, you need to manipulate the range and use this kind of notation, right? As again, the starting number is 1 and the ending number is 0, right? 0 is not here, and the step is -1. So step is -1, right? I can easily show you if the step has been -3. This is like 1, then -3, -3. This is basically a loop. Like Python is giving you a basic functionality, and this is basically a loop in their own code, right? This is kind of that. Now another thing that we have is strings, right? Strings are very useful, right? As I've defined, like parentheses. In parentheses, you can define anything; it will be a string, right? There's no character. There's no char as such in Python, but yes, you can take a char. It supports char, but it does not have a char as a data type, right? So this is also a string. So anything which you define between double parentheses or single parentheses will be treated as a string. There is no char in Python, kind of, right? So a equal to so I've defined this as my credential. Now many times we are manipulating strings, we need to split the strings, right? I need to get these two credentials out of it. So one way is to just remove these two, right? Or one way is to split it, right? And rejoin them by some other like let's say a space, right? I want to have this problem that my credentials are there. I want to remove these parentheses. I want to remove these like dots, and I want to have space between my credentials, right? So what will happen is I'll just take like a dot split. Split is a functionality which just splits a string about another string, right? So if you have this, so it will split it about dot. When I'll do something like dot k, right? Dot k. So it will split about dot k. So these two elements will be used and they will not be outputted in the array. So what happened with dot is, I'll just give you a very simple understanding that when I'm splitting about this, so it is checking through a loop that d is present, okay, dot is present, okay. So till this dot, every element is one. Every element is going to one element of the list, right? When I'm going ahead, k is present, okay. Another dot occurred, so it will give me another element of the list, right? And that dot occurred, right? After this, there is nothing, so a nothing element is added, right? So this is the functionality of split. When I'm using a dot k to it, you can see dot k, like d is there, it doesn't match. Dot matched, k also matched. That means that this is the string that we are splitting about. So d goes to the first element of the list. That is the output list, right? C, right? This is our C I'm getting. So this was my original string A. This was the length of the string. Length is basically, as I said, length of the list, right? So string can also be treated as a list. So that's why there is also functionality of length of strings, right? It can be used with the same functionality, the same way. So dot k will give me dot k will be removed, as I said, because I'm splitting about that, and dot will be there. Now dot doesn't match with anything, so dot will come to be the last element of the list, right? Now by following this, I've got like space dot join. What does join do? Now I have this kind of list, right? Now I want to join these with a space, right? So with the space, this will join. What does it do? It will take one element and it will just add a space between them and combine them to make a string. Simple as that, right? I can use any other thing, let's say comma, right? So what will happen is, this is the syntax of it. So d comma k comma, right? D combined with a comma, k combined with this is the result, right? So you can, this is a very simple example, a very trivial example of split and join, but a lot of times when you're manipulating paths, when you're manipulating strings, this is used a lot, right? Also, as I said, strings are just like lists, so you can access 0th element, you can access first element, or through negative indices, etc., all those things that we covered in the list, right? Next thing that comes is this, right? So types in Python. So inherently Python does not ask for you for a type, like let's say in C or C++ you get like int a is equal to 1 or int d or float c is equal to 1, right? Kind of 1.0 kind of stuff. But whatever you're defining here, Python like automatically interprets itself, right? So one is that it will say it is integer. 1.0 is that it will say it is a float. If there is a string, it will say it's a string, nothing else, right? But the point comes where when you need to like use one variable, like you need to typecast in another, right? You have an integer, but you need it in the string format, right? So what you can do is like str or int or these kind of functionalities are provided. This what it will do is it will convert a to b, right? Simple as that, right? It will convert an integer to a string, simple as that. So it will also, so I'm just not, for the sake of this, I've used type ahead of it, like in the latter part of the tutorial intro, but let's say I'm using it here, right? So you can say like a was inherently class of int, right? But b converted to class of string, right? Similarly, when I'm having a string, I can convert it back to an int, and have any, like I have a int I can convert to float. These three can be mixed together, like int to float, float to int, string to float, like all these things can be done, right? And it's just that when you're converting from a float to int, right? Let's say it's 8.7, and you're converting to int, so it will just take the integer part. It will forget about the dot part. So you need to take care of that too. Now we come to the main point of the intro, that is called if else indentation. Like we will take like if else statements. It's very important. Like majorly, most of the time you will be using ifs and all, right? Loops will be used less, but ifs are majorly important. So what does if else? If you have not gone through this Python, I would recommend to go through in detail what are ifs and how is the syntax. But the basic is, if any condition, let's say I have defined a equal to 1, and it's checking like whether the value of a is 1, right? It's checking that. It's the syntax of it. What you need to take care is the syntax, right? So here is the condition part, and semicolon is basically the condition. So if I had been writing in C, this would have been the syntax, right? This would have been the corresponding syntax, right? And sorry, this and the printf or whatever you're having, right? So this would have been a printf statement here, and this would have been like this, right? Printf dollar b, right? So kind of that or whatever, dollar d comma a, right? So sorry, so this happened. Nevertheless, so when you are dealing with if else, this syntax corresponds to these. So this curly brackets correspond to an indentation. Indentation means that this is a block under the statement which is not indented, right? So let's say you want to have multiple blocks in it, right? What does multiple blocks mean? That you need to have multiple tab spaces, indented blocks, and they will be under the statement which has not been indented just the previously, right? So if I define another block like print a, right? So this means that this is another block which is under this block, right? This does not make any sense, right? It's not print, they're just statements, right? So when I'm doing this, it will give me a indentation error, right? Because if it had been a if statement or conditional statement or looping statement, it would have been fine. But just like let's say execution or printing statement doesn't have these kind of. So you need to have a conditional or a loop here. Then you can have a block. Block means these curly brackets with the help of indentation. This semicolon basically defines that what we are doing, we are having a indentation block here, right? So what does it do, right? So it will give what does it do is basically it will define that next time I'm from this statement I'm starting a block. This is the starting of curly bracket basically, right? And indentation is basically all the statement that lies in these blocks, right? So you don't have a ending curly bracket or ending this colon. But what happens is you have this functionality such that you can easily give out statements which you require. So anything can come here in this indentation, right? So here in conditional we can also use less than equal to, not equal to, equal to, equal to. Any statement you can come here. You can also use and, right? And a not equal to 0 or a equal to 2, like kind of these things, right? So multiple conditions can be combined together here, right? And after combining those conditions, this thing can be evaluated and whether this condition needs to be true or not, right? After going through this, you have if else, right? This is a very similar syntax with if, right? Else you execute, you have an indent block which is basically a code block, different code block which needs to be executed. Pass is a keyword in Python that when you are having a condition that you don't want to execute, right? You just add a pass. What does it do? It's just like, okay, it's an empty statement. It doesn't do anything. it just goes to the next line, right? The next line code of execution, right? So this is the way of it, right? So when we are seeing like I have a equal to 1, so print a. So I'll execute it again. So print a, right? If I'm having if else, right? So if a equal to false, it's not equal to 2, so it will go to else condition, it will a plus 1, so it goes 2. So one thing that I forgot to tell you, that you can also have expressions and you can evaluate them in print only, right? This is a very basic language language property. Now again, if a equal to 0, pass. If a equal to 2, pass, and else print equal to 1, right? So these things can be easily printed. B equal to 0, right? As soon as you can get, right? Now one thing that I very endorse from my side is one line compare, right? When you just don't want to have when you don't have a very big if else condition, you just have like either you do this or you do this, right? In just one line. It's not like for one line you won't do like one line execution, you won't do like if and else and these all those things. If you have multi-line execution, let's say another print or any other things in this, you can do other things, right? So you can use this kind of structure. But if you have just one statement to execute to compare on two properties, then you will use that this kind of thing. That print a, if you have a greater than b, or else print b, right? If you add another statement here, then it will not work, because it's like a syntax of this language, right? So this syntax is used a lot of times. Another thing is like loops. No, another thing that I forgot to have is like you can have nested ifs. If into if, like if else, like nested ifs can be there, and they're used a lot of times. Now we are coming back to the loops. It's very important to keep this in mind, the loops. So just let me say, and okay. So we have loops with us. This will take some time. So what happens is loops are, as you said, for I, as I have said, for int I equal to 0 and I less than 10, I plus plus, kind of that structure, right? So I'll use those loops in a very non-trivial manner, not in that sense. So you can say I have a string, right? So when I'm using a loops, when I'm using a for loop, what will happen is I'll specify syntax for I in a, print I comma end print I, right? What does I'll break this into parts. And this means like when you're using print, it prints in a new line, right? But when you're using end and this with this in this format, it just does not print in a new line, but it adds a space to it, right? Usually by default, end is equal to this character. This is escape character, right? This \n is an escape character which is used to define new line in every language, and majorly every language, right? So when you're having this is a default of Python, but when you're specifying end equal to this, that means this will get printed and a space will be added to it, right? This is as simple as that. So I can run a loop from range 1, as I said, we can have a for loop for I, as I for I range 0, 10, 1, right? As I've already shown you in the upper snippets, that it can easily give you a range, all the values of I, right? It can give you a lot of things. Here it can for I in a, what will it will give you when you are applying on a string, it will give you each element of the string. When you are applying on a list, it will give you each element of the list. So simple as that. So this kind of loops are very useful, and the syntax of it is for the variable that you want to have in a colon and printing, right? And whatever you want to print, or any other statement, if else, or whatever you want to here, it can be anything, right? And you need to have this indentation, because it's a code block. After the for loop, you have a code block, so you're having this, right? It's a different from this for loop, and to specify it's a code block, we're using colon, right? Another thing that is present here is enumerate. I'll go over it, is enumerate, right? Enumerate, what does it do? So I usually was doing giving me the letter in it for I in A, so it's giving me D, E, E, P, A, and K, U, R, right, individually. But I also want the index of it, right? I don't know what is the index of D. I don't know what is the index of P. Many times it is useful in it, right? So when I'm adding an enumerate to it, I'll add a J on the left side. Take care of that the enumerate will give you the index together with the element, whether it's a list or whether it's a string, on the left hand side. Like the J will store the index of it, right? So when I'm having this, as you can see, right? So I've added a let's say, right? So what does it do is basically, I'll show you without the execution of the code. So when we are having a this kind of end equal to this, this is getting printed. That means that each letter is being taken and a space is added to it and it's getting printed, right? This is a very simple scenario that I explained in, 2 minutes back. But when I'm having a print j, like this is the index of it, right? So what does happen is print j basically adds a new line. So we can see that d is 0, e is 1. So this is basically the indexes and this is basically the string, right? The characters of it. And this is used a lot of times, enumerate, right? As I explained, range I have explained, k equal to 5. So while is a very while is another type of loop. While k not equal to 0, this is just a conditional statement. K equal to 5 I have taken, and I am printing the squares of it, right? Now one thing you need to take care of it, you need to have the update statement here, right? Originally, what does for loop does it has the update statement itself, right? But here it does not have the update statement. So you need to take care while you're using while that you have update statement here, that such that you can use it. The rest of it remains same, like colon and the break, right? Break and continue, you have this, right? Another thing that you need to take care of is break and continue. Many of the time you don't need to have the whole a code to be executed, right? Whole loop to be run. You can break at some point, or you can omit some cases to be continued. So what does break do? It breaks the loop at some point. So when I'm printing this, what is expected is this whole will the loop through, right? But when I'm at u, it is break. That means after u, it will not execute and will go out of the loop, right? For this loop. What does break do? It just breaks out when it is encountered. When this statement is encountered, it will break out. So when I equal to u, it will break out. Continue means that when this statement is encountered, nothing here will be executed, right? So let's say I have added control X. I have added right. I have added this statement here, right? So what I'm expecting is DEE. Now when it will be E, the E's will not print it because continue will go back to this loop. What does continue does it? You can go to the next iteration. Then the lower part of the code part of this loop will not get printed, right? Any other line written below the continue statement, right? So D, P, A, N, K, and U will not be printed because at U this will be break, right? Let's see what is the output. So as you can see, D, P, A, N, K. So double E does not get printed because it goes back to the first line of the loop and the print statement is never encountered, right? And U is not encountered as because print statement it just breaks out of the loop, right? Now one line loops, as I've said, like one line loops are used a lot of times, right? So as I have another list and I want to have some kind of manipulation on it. Let's say this is a integer manipulation. I can be apply a function on it. I can apply let's say each element plus 1 or each element go through a function, or each element can be going through anything. So in that case I'll have a for I in B, right? I plus I into I'll have a loop for I in B. This is basically each element in B is being given to the left part, and left part is where the manipulation of that element is being happening, and the result of this will be stored with C. So for each element the result is being stored. So for I 1 into 1, like it will give me 2. For 2 it will be 2 plus 2 into 2, it's 6, right? So this is going on and on, right? So you can see 2, 6, 12, right? So for this thing, this is a one line loops where you can execute. When you just have one statement, you have just one kind of manipulation on it, you can just do in this sense, right? So these are very useful, and you can just keep this in mind, right? Another thing is if for one line loops. I would say this is a very important statement, if for one line loops, because what happens is when you're having, let's say when you're having a list and you need to check something on this number, and if it's true you will need to do some manipulation, right? So you can understand that this is just a one loop and this is a one if condition, right? You are understanding this thing. For these kind of situations, when you're just having one if condition and one for condition, right? You can just have this kind of syntax, that this is your list and you're just using for I in A. This is giving you all the elements in A and element wise, and this I is going back to the right side if I mod 2 equal to 0, checking whether the I is even or not. and if it is even, it is going back I into 2, and it is being appended to B, or it's stored in B, right? So for the output of this is 4, 8, 12. So the point here is like, when you're having the condition, when you have just one if condition, one small if condition, and you are having one loop condition, you can use this, and you will come to understand that these kind of scenarios occur frequently in your coding when you are doing that, right? So I'll just keep it here, and I'll have another third minute, like another third tutorial to it. I guess it's taking a lot of time here. So take care, guys. Till then, bye. Have a nice day.